We'll talk about the car in a minute. It's an M4. Let's go driving. Well, you have to firstly excuse our rather brief introduction there, but a car like the M4, you can look at it and talk about it all you like, but the best way to really understand it is to get behind the wheel. So this is the 2016 BMW M4 competition pack, and it sits now in the middle of the range from the standard M4, and it's about half the price of the so expensive, but it's already sold out, so it doesn't really matter, M4 GTS. The competition pack commands about a $5,000 premium over a standard M4, and for that you get the new 20-inch wheels, the shadow line trim on the outside, new seats, a sports exhaust, and a few little extras under the body. Power is up 14 kilowatts to 331, which peak out at 7,000 RPM. Torque remains the same, 550 Newton meters, but it really is a wall of torque. It's available from 1750 all the way through to 5,000 RPM, which means that, well, if you need the M4 to go anywhere very quickly, all you need to do is this. And make no mistake, whichever way you like to measure your power, this thing is fast. Now, BMW claim a 0 to 100 time at 4 seconds flat. And we've actually tried, but can't match that due to the fact that we just simply can't get enough traction out of the big 285mm wide tyres at the back. But whatever the case, with that wall of torque available, it doesn't really matter what people say 0 to 100 time is, because by golly, this thing feels really fast. But the thing is, I don't know if you can hear that, but you might be prompted to try for that 7,000 RPM limit thanks to the new sports exhaust that they've fitted to the competition pack, which was an area where the M4 was really lacking beforehand. It just didn't sound cool. This, well, sounds pretty awesome. But forget the numbers for a second. Talk about that sort of seat of the pants feeling. This M4, it's not very linear. You basically have huge amounts of torque available, or you don't. And it's a matter of simply going really fast or feeling a bit sluggish and doughy, and it doesn't quite have that progressive nature, particularly of the old naturally aspirated V8 M3. Now, as with all modern M cars, there's a 7-speed M-Steptronic DCT dual clutch transmission. A 6-speed manual is a no-cost option, but very, very few people in Australia are particularly taking that up, which is, well, it's a bit of a sign of the times, but to be honest, this is a really, really nice gearbox when you're driving the car. Around town, it's a total pain in the butt. If all you're going to do with your M4 is poodle around to the shops, honestly, you'd be better off getting a 440, which has got a much easier 8-speed standard transmission rather than the M-Steptronic. That switch from drive to reverse when parallel parking was just a pain. But out here, driving hard in the M4, those shifts from the DCT are fast and brutal, and kind of everything you want out of a car like this. Now, as they say, power is nothing without control. So pulling up the M4 after you've been having a bit of fun, a giant cross-drilled rotors and big brakes, and they're doing a pretty good job of keeping us on the black stuff today. So with the competition pack, BMW has changed the springs, the dampers, the anti-sway bars on the M4, and they've also changed the settings of the predefined M Sport settings in the car, where you can choose from Comfort, Sport or Sport Plus. The thing is, they haven't made Comfort any more comfortable, and Sport Plus, which is now a little bit firmer, still possibly isn't as firm or as direct as you'd really like. Around town, in any of its sport modes, well, the M4, particularly now on these big 20-inch wheels, can feel rather jarring over some bumps. And in fact, it's actually better at speed than it is going slow. Now, being an M car, there are settings available here, not only for the suspension, but you get engine response, steering response, and the gearbox response can all be defined and called upon using 2 preset buttons here on the steering wheel. And what we find driving the car around in all of its least sporty comfort settings, it's a little bit doughy and a little bit kind of subdued. So you need to up the M-ness a little bit. If you dial it all the way up to the top, however, and go Sports Plus across the board, well, the car's almost undrivable. Certainly in the wet, you've got a very, very twitchy throttle response that will spin the rear wheels when given even the slight bit of damp road or shiny white line. You've got suspension that, as we've said, is very, very firm, and steering which is almost too heavy. No, the real balance here is to select these and set up an individual setting and maybe work out a happy medium that works for you and the roads that you're on. So where doesn't the M4 work quite well? Well, right here. The steering wheel, it's lovely to hold, by the way. BMW make a really good wheel. But the feeling as you're coming through a corner, the weightiness and the feedback that you get from the road changes mid-corner, particularly if the car is going over some bumps, and you never quite feel that you've got the car at the right angle. BMWs traditionally have communicated very, very well between the road and the driver, and you knew exactly where you were pointing the car and sort of where you were going to make it go. But this system here, which is electrically assisted, obviously, to handle the multiple weight settings, just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like there's a really clear level of communication between you, the driver, the M4, and the road below. Put all that together though, and the M4, well, it skates pretty dangerously close to that scary end of the fun scale, because you never feel that the car is running out of power, and you're kind of encouraged to push harder and faster through ever tightening bends. And with that steering and the very firm ride, well, you've got to be on your game, let's just say that. And not that it really matters as well. BMW claim just below 9 litres per 100 on a combined cycle. Well, we've been having quite a lot of fun today and are sitting just below 13, which is still pretty good. If fuel economy is your thing though, just go out, get that 420, give up on the M cars, move on. What you are reminded of in the M4 is that it's still caught up in that mid-model gestation period. None of the newer driver assistance technology is here. Not that that's the reason you'd buy an M car anyway, but you don't get autonomous emergency braking, you don't get a lane correction assistant. You get warnings for the 2 features. Don't get me wrong, you'll get a red flashing light if you travel too close to the car in front, but it is that generation behind where some of its competitors are moving, certainly in that day-to-day safety and technology space. That said, the iDrive system with the controller down here and the widescreen 10.2-inch screen, well, we still think it's the best system on the market. The thing is though, you need to be able to use your M4 in every single circumstance. You want to be able to drop the kids at school and go to a meeting and maybe go play golf on the weekend, or get out in the backwoods of town and take it for a little run. People who say, oh, it's got to be more track focused, remember this, when you buy an M4, BMW give you a track day in their M4 on a professional race circuit. So you get to chew up their tyres and their brakes in their cars, all while yours stays shiny and clean in the car park. For mine, that's a much better way of doing it. Being a Grand Tourer, more than just a pure sports car though, you've got to have that right mix of docile comfort and hard-edge sportiness, and the M4's still not quite there. Comfort, not quite comfortable enough, and Sport Plus, not quite plussy enough. Now all this sounds like a pretty cool new package, but you have to remember, it is just an upgrade to the current M4. It's not a new car. Let me pull over and I'll show you. Well look, looking at it, the M4 is still undeniably tough, even if it hasn't changed from when it was launched about 2 years ago. And it's probably the only car that can pull off the baby poo Austin yellow paint and still look this good. As we've said, the competition pack gets these new 20-inch star spoke alloy rims, and of course the BMW Shadowline treatment, which blacks out all of the exterior trim components. But that's basically it. The light signature's the same, the body's the same, the bars, front and rear, are the same. There is something new inside. Let's take a look. The competition pack scores these really cool new M Sport seats, complete with light up M logos. The best bit is you've got these, I guess you'd call them tickle holes near your ribs, which BMW say are there to save weight. But the seats themselves are terrifically supportive and comfortable, even when you're giving the car a little bit of a steer. Back there's still enough room to fit adults, but if you want a bit more space, get an M3, I would. The rest of the cabin though, well, it's exactly the same. Nothing has changed in here. It's still the same 4 Series design that we've seen since the car was launched. And you've got to ask yourself, despite all of the added features and goodness of the competition pack, is it just now the M4 we should have got when it was originally launched, or is it just a marketing exercise? Well look, the competition pack absolutely results in a better M4. The $5,000 premium they're asking is worth it for those wheels and that exhaust alone. But the thing is, the car still has its flaws. It's got all the right numbers in all the right places, but BMW just needs to find a way to translate all of that power and that steering through the driver and onto the road in a much more natural way. The good news is we know that BMW are currently working on the next generation 4 Series and subsequent M4 Coupe, which means, give or take 18 months' time, we'll be back out here in the next iteration of M4 to see if BMW have managed by then to completely nail the package. But until then, well, that one's still pretty good. It's a hell of a lot of fun. I think it needs some more driving.